Let's just bring you a bit of breaking news that we have. Good news for one family in the UK, at least. The traveller, Rebecca Burke, she is the British girl who was detained by the authorities in America after travelling across the border. These are images of her here.
It was very scary because they chained my chest super tight and I couldn't breathe properly. I was really scared because I thought I'm not going to be able to breathe. I cried and then begged them to lose it up. They said, like, you're fine, and ignored me. But then I was coming close to the bus. That lady, like, saw, and she, like, fixed it. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's crazy how your life can, like, be treated like this. I for sure it was the most scary moment of my entire life. At first day, I was pretty sure I wasn't gonna make it. Like a bad ventilation, two open toilet, camera towards toilet, which is like ridiculous. They say like it's a man facility for that's why like they have men first, like it's men it was priority, women like the last, like visitor section, no bed. To like anti-sanitary small tiny piece of soap for 26 people at the moment that was gone like the same day. I will never forget one very early morning when we were like sleeping and the door opened and the man looked at us with a shock on his face. I will never forget his face. He covered his face right away with his t-shirt. I can only imagine how it was smelled in the room. I will never forget his face. It made me like to feel more sorry for myself, like we were worse than animals. Little girls were coming every day. We were like screaming, like begging them, like say like you can't let them come because they didn't have space.
With her mum and dad. She has arrived back at Heathrow Airport. She has returned today. That is her family greeting her. She was accused of violating her visa. She was on a once-of-a-lifetime solo trip across the US and Canada when she was handcuffed trying to cross the Canadian border. She spent nearly 3 weeks behind bars at a detention centre in Tacoma in Washington, but her family are delighted to welcome her back to the UK. Her family said that they have been living a nightmare that they can't wake up from. She'd been travelling across the US, including in New York and Seattle, staying with families in return for carrying out household chores.
Germany and the UK have now issued travel advisories for the United States, and Canadian politicians are now urging Canadians to avoid travel to the United States if at all possible, and saying that people are being denied their rights through arbitrary detention. And this notably comes after customs deported a French scientist for apparently not liking Trump, and also after a German green card holder who's lived here since 2007 was reportedly violently interrogated, stripped naked, and put in a cold shower at Boston Logan. Additionally, 2 other Germans were detained in other airports, and one was detained for 6 weeks and placed in solitary confinement. And it just seems like it gets worse and worse. There's so many stories. Another incident was when a Canadian woman was detained by ICE for 2 weeks in a cage because she had an error on her paperwork, with her reportedly shackled, thrown in a van, sent to Arizona, kept awake, and not allowed to contact a lawyer. Because the system's seemingly so broken, this woman reportedly had no recourse to get out of the ICE prisons until her family contacted the media. But they're also claiming there were hundreds of other women in the prisons and cells she was held in who have been stuck there for months with no way home, and the Trump administration won't give them due process, so they're just stuck there indefinitely. Then in another incident, a British woman reportedly was in the US, legally traveled to Canada, but upon entry, she was told she needed a different visa and to go back to the US. And then when she approached the US border that she just crossed minutes earlier, they classified her as an illegal alien and detained her for 10 days. You also had reports a professional soccer player from Venezuela who coaches youth soccer and was in the US legally was sent to El Salvador's prisons without due process because ICE allegedly mistook his Real Madrid tattoo for a gang tattoo, which if true, seems like yet another example of why having due process is a great thing. Right? Seemingly maybe why the founders found it so important that they made it the 5th Amendment. Follow to stay in the loop.
Hello, my well-tucked darlings. In British news, the advice on travelling to the US has been upgraded because people from other countries have been detained and they have been put in prisons. They've been held in darkened rooms. Some have been stripped and have been given cold showers, held for 10, 12 days at a time. A French scientist was held because he had messages on his phone with American scientists talking about how bad Trump was. So talking against Trump is now something that you can be arrested for and held without any due process at the borders. Canadians have been held, 3 Germans have been held. ICE is acting like a fascist state now. So if you are thinking of going to America, please check out the advice, because it is no longer a safe place to go.
The Foreign Office warns Brits over USA travel after Tyre Nichols' fatality by police. And if you want any further information, it's listed on the government website. And here is some of the latest update, and please pause to read.
Dear foreigners planning trips to the US, cancel your plans. Not just out of protest, but because the United States government can no longer be trusted, and your safety and that of your friends and family can no longer be guaranteed. This is not hyperbole. If we as American citizens aren't safe, US tourists will definitely not be safe. Please continue to speak up and fight against tyranny on our behalf, because we need you now more than ever. Hey, so we all know that America has been the bad place, but now it has become a terrifying fucking place. Listen, as a naturalized citizen, I am absolutely terrified of flying to the States right now. And I'm a white American citizen. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near that fucking place. And this is the part where I honestly think that if you have the ability, the opportunity, the privilege to get the fuck out, you should. You should. I'm at the point where it feels like they're going to go for people that have dual citizenship. They have no shame whatsoever. People are like, oh, they're not going to do this to their own people, to their American citizens. Of course they are. Of course they are. If you're not the right type of American, you might get the boot. You might get disappeared. Something's going to happen to you.